a little scared. I don't remember what car almost hit me when they spun out, but I'm in my lens and I hear the engine.
That would be the 7 car.
Definitely
I've been there before.
Didn't need any coffee after that.
She didn't. Yeah, that was close. That was when you were down in turn 2.
Definitely.
Yeah, that was the 7 car, and it was. In fact, that brought out the last caution that set up the green-white checker that was just incredible. The finish was amazing.
Nina, I can absolutely identify with you because something happened to me last year similar to that. That absolutely, after it was over, scared me to death.
Yeah, well, the rest of the races, I was a little more hesitant. I'm like,
never take your eyes off that racetrack.
Time.
Well, so when you're looking through the lens, there's got to be some.
I focus on a car and I follow it, and then I wait for the next car and I follow it, or I just snap. But I can't see what's going on my left side, so yeah. Well, the person standing next to me probably could have gave me a heads up. Would have been nice. Thanks.
But sometimes we're out there hung out to dry, and nobody can help you.
I'm agile.
You were. That's see. She's an Islander. She's athletic.
There you go. Sometimes you don't know when to juke or jive.
Yeah. Well, I did the right thing. That's all that matters.
There you go.
So after the races, Sandy says, "Yeah, that dwarf car race was, we're talking about how exciting it was." And she says, "Yeah, Mike was in the tower with you." And I said, "What?" Mike McCann, he's the man there. And I had no idea he was there. When she said that, I looked at her and I said, "Well, I hope he decides to keep me."
I can see him now. He's going, "Well, I either hired a clown, or we've got a really good announcer."
I was having fun. I don't know if I was having as much fun those guys that were in those cars.
Hey,
that is as a racer, that's what you want right there.
And the fans, and they was hyper.
They were
I'm
loud.
looking down on them and watching them, and they're up and they're screaming and they're clapping and carrying on, and you can hear them. I've got my headsets on, and when I can hear the crowd,
yeah,
I know they're excited. And that's good.
Well, I know it was exciting from back on turn 3 because when I finally got back up to turn 3, and the stands are full of standing people screaming.
Yeah,
you could hear it all the way over.
That's cool.
Track.
That's when it doesn't matter what is on the track. It's a great race. But you got to credit Track Prep to that too, given what those guys, the size of those cars. You put those guys on a rough track and things can get dangerous.
That short wheelbase just.
But that track was so smooth and so fast. I mean, the traction. In Victory Lane, I was down there, and I look at the track. Been around the game a long time. You understand how important track prep is when you're talking about dirt track racing. And that track, top to bottom, there was 3 different types of grooves, and all of them were fast. All of them. Even where it slicked off in the bottom, still had a ton of grip. The middle kind of had that was kind of in between where a lot of those guys were running. Still wicked fast, and then the top was just it was just all horsepower. If you had it and you wanted to go up there, it might have been the longer way around, but you could still use that horsepower to come through there, and that's how they were going in 4 and coming out 4 wide.
But the track didn't take much rubber.
That's the funny thing is it didn't take a whole bunch of rubber on the bottom, but that surface that
was grippy.
Whatever they have down there, Southern Oregon Speedway is fast.
It's
clay.
that grippy stuff.
It is, and I don't know what they're doing different because, coming in, and you talk to a lot of people, coming in, that was one of the concerns that we heard from different drivers that have been there over the last couple of years throughout the state. Guys from different parts of the state that said, it gets fast, but it gets a little rough down there. We haven't seen anything what I would call rough. There were some guys saying the first race of the season that it was rough.
A little bit.
I didn't think it was rough. I mean, I'm not in the cars, but if that's what Southern Oregon Speedway regulars are going to call rough, these guys are in great shape. Because I've seen some rough racetracks. I've seen certainly haven't seen that down there yet.
Well, was it last week? I can't remember. I got a short memory span, but was it last week or this week that I actually got down on top of the track, like 2 feet off the track with a drone?
That was this week.
Yeah, that was this week. And got down there and went down the front straightaway and went around turns 1 and then 2. and it was just slick as it could be. There's
Right.
especially on a clay track or dirt track, you're going to get places to where it's going to what we call peel,
Mhm.
and get a little peel come out of it. There was maybe one or two that I seen,
But
other
nothing.
than that, nothing major.
Yeah.
It was nice.
Yeah. Which brings us to our next division, the super late models.
Mm-hmm. Horsepower.
Yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing about the late model race. Ask any driver in that field what they thought about that racetrack.
They liked it.
Loved it. Loved it. One or two drivers will tell you they didn't like it because it caught them off guard, setup wise.
Setup wasn't right.
But the surface itself, even those guys that miss it just a little bit, were still crazy fast. And I want to talk about this because we've got so much young talent in this region, the Pacific Northwest, that doesn't get recognized nationally or even regionally. I mean, you get them regionally every now and then. You see a write-up or hear people talking about somebody. We've got so much young talent in our part of the country. It's a shame more of the what you want to call the big guys back east don't look out here to recruit guys for seats in the Midwest and back east. First name that comes to mind when you're talking young, talented late model drivers right now is Joey Tanner. Bryson James, whether he's in a modified or regardless, another guy that's super fast. There were a couple guys Saturday night that I'll tell you right now put their name in the hat for that deal too.
Mm-hmm.
The other guys kind of been hanging around, progressively getting better. And Saturday night, he said, I'm here. We've got this stuff figured out, and he was wicked fast.
Are you talking about the 77 car?
I'm talking about Preston Luckman.
Yep.
Did you watch that car? The heat race, he was good. He was good in the heat. Did you watch him in the main event?
Better. Lots more better.
I don't know if for that track and those conditions, if you could have hit the setup any better than what those guys did Saturday night with that 7.7 car.
Well, me and Gary was talking, and he goes, "Did that 77 ever lift?" And I go, "Nope."
And we talked about that in
All
the
around
tower
the
during
track,
the feature.
wide open.
Yes,
There was no pedaling.
there
at
wasn't.
all.
And that's why I say this track is so phenomenal in the fact that it's good enough as far as traction-wise to keep the speed up, but you can still get that car on entry, and it's just
It looked like a sprint car.
it was crazy.
actually what it looked
Constantly going forward, whether he's backing it in or it didn't matter. From the get-go, from the drop of the green, he jumped to the lead. Now Trent Elliott was there.
Yep.
That 4E car.
Oh,
You
Yep.
never count that dude out, especially when you got any kind of moisture in a racetrack. If it's hooked up, Trent Elliott's going to be the guy that you're going to go, him or Rob Maya, you're going to put your money on. Okay, they are specialists on that type of racetrack. Now, Preston Luckman pulled the car after the heat race, and his crew, we talked to them, they watched the track after they got off the track and then went into feature segments. They were watching what the track was doing. And Preston actually gave credit to another late model driver in the field, Dave Foote, the 75 car. They were talking, and Preston's like, yeah, I'm going to change this, I'm going to change that. And Dave says, don't change anything. Set your pressures and run that car. And they had a discussion about it, and they didn't change anything on their car. And it's a good thing they didn't.
It came alive.
Man, was he fast or what? Trent Elliott, and this is what I'm talking about. This is a tricky surface down there. Trent Elliott, as fast as he was, and we know he was fast. He's fast all the time. Made one minor change, you guys. One minor change and dialed himself out of the game. I think he did what everybody else in the field did. And it was just that one bit of difference. I mean, he was fast, but he didn't have that entry. Nobody had the entry that the 77 car of Luckman did. Otherwise, exit out, he was good. The forward bite was good. Once he got through that 0 to 45 part of the corner, but Leckman was just good all the way around. And that was the difference, was the entry.
The good thing on the entry, though, you could watch that car set itself up.
Yeah.
And that back end would move up and move around to where it was turning left and he's turning right, and pedal to the metal all the way around through the turn.
It was the forward bite on
and
the
coming
entry.
out of 2, he just took off like a rocket.
Yeah.
That's where he got all the bite. But he just stayed in it all the way around, and then it just like a rocket come out of 2, and then he'd come out of 4 the same way.
So, and this is funny. This is funny because during the feature, I'm watching the 77 car. And it took me back to when I was working on cars back in 2012 for Rick Wyatt. I'm watching. Okay, this is what's funny about this story. I'm going to tell you. I'm watching that car going, God, that car, the forward bite is incredible. That car is so fast all the way around the track. And in my mind, I said, that car reminds me of when I was with Rick Wyatt in 2012. We got down to Victory Lane. We started talking. And I said, Preston, I said, just so I know, what chassis are you in? He says, oh, this is an old Rocket chassis. I said, okay, well, that makes sense why I thought what I was thinking. He goes, this is Rick Wyatt's old car. I'm going, whoa, wait a second. Well, it was so funny to me that it was reminding me. I knew what I was looking at. It was so funny to me when he says, this is Rick Wyatt's old car, because in my mind I'm going, that looks like, I had no idea that he had that car. It was so funny to me that he says, this is Rick Wyatt's old car. And I said, man, I think when you see something, you've been around this, and you see something, you kind of develop if you want to call it a database. You as a driver, as a crew chief, as a fan, you put that in your memory, and you draw off it later on. And as it was just, to me, it was so funny. I was like, man, that's the same car I was in my head. Was, but he drove that car. The lap times, I can tell you, talking with another driver that had officially had the track record, or does have the track record down there. He told me what his track record time was in this conversation, or what it is. And I didn't have the heart to say, well, we didn't run qualifying, but the lap times they were turning in the feature were quite a bit faster than that. And I mean by 3 to 4 tenths.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fast.
Very. Very. Yeah.
That was an exciting race, too. I really enjoyed watching that race. All Saturday night, from start to finish, it was up on your feet, good racing, clean racing, very competitive racing. I wouldn't say very, exceptional.
Yeah.
It's just everybody was on their game, and everybody had a good time. I know I did.
Oh, man.
Lord, I was up
Well,
there.
so here's what surprised me. Okay, so you got to remember, we don't have a lot of experience at this track as individuals and as a crew, Moxie Media Promotions. Looking at the forecast and what it had done all week, how warm it was down there, knowing it was going to be 91 degrees on race day, I'm thinking, oh, man, we're going to find out who can drive tonight. This place is going to be slick. It wasn't.
Mm-mm.
It wasn't slick.
I expected it to be slick and dusty.
Well, I expected it to be slick. The dust doesn't bother me. I don't even notice that. I can see it every now and then.
He's inside, for God's sake.
I know.
Well,
He
I
doesn't have to
noticed
worry
it.
about
He's not
that.
up there eating the dust like me and Nina and Gary's
Yeah.
out there,
Definitely.
So, see, that, again,
Dave?
doesn't enter my mind as far as, if I see it during the race, I'll think about it. But going in, it wasn't something I just expected the track to be black and slick. Mike McCann and his crew, the track prep they put on that thing this week, you couldn't seriously ask for a better surface.
Right.
It was beautiful.
It wasn't dusty.
Go back to the practice weekend.
Oh,
Right.
man.
Oh, my God. I think I could have planted potatoes in both of my ears. I was wearing a headset. And,
But we didn't get that.
Yeah, it was horrible. They're coming out of 4, and that stuff is just coming right up, and just everything's coated with it. But we didn't see that Saturday at
No.
all.
But We didn't see it go slick either.
Nope.
We didn't see it stay super heavy.